I have a free private Facebook group, especially for performing artists. And when you go to ask to be admitted to the group, you have to answer 3 questions. And one of the questions has to do with what is your biggest current challenge? And I asked that question in order to create content for the people in the group that's actually going to help the people who are there with the things that they need help with, right? So recently I saw an answer to this question from a lovely young singer that said, how do I know when I'm good enough to share my art online? And I thought, what a great question. I'm going to create content for it there. And I also wanted to create this YouTube video for you here. So how do you know when you are quote unquote good enough to share your art online? So I'm going to start with a little personal story. Here's the thing. There is content of me singing online that I do not think is good enough. I don't think it represents me the way that I want to be represented. At least that's the way that I felt when it got put up there. These are YouTube videos that other people posted that I would never have posted myself. And if you want to search for them, go ahead. They are under my birth name, Elizabeth Harmetz. But here's the thing, the people that posted them thought they were good enough. The people who posted them weren't second guessing themselves. And in one case, the person that posted it had also hired me for the job. And the truth is that those videos are absolutely representative of the artist that I was at that time. The problem is that we are always improving, and we are always improving so quickly, especially those of us who are consciously on growth paths, that even an hour later, we can think that what we just did was no longer good enough, let alone a week, a month, a year. Now, that being said, there are situations where you do have to reach a certain standard. And if you don't, you may not be invited back to audition again, for example. But even in those cases, and I have a personal example of when I waited to do the National Council auditions until they changed the age limit and I aged out. What are you waiting for? So I wanted to be as good as I possibly could be, so I waited and waited and waited until it was too late. Hi, I'm Fiona, and it is my passion and my privilege and my pleasure to help you with all things mindset, marketing, and monetization for performing artists. If you are a singer, dancer, actor, musician, or any other kind of performing artist, I am so glad you are here. I welcome you to this channel. I invite you to join my free Facebook group, follow me on Instagram. I just want to help you become as fully expressed of an artist as possible and prosperous to boot. Sound good? Now let's dive into 5 simple tips to figure out whether or not your art is good enough to share online. So the first tip is to actually quantify what good enough is, because so often we're using this term good enough and we're not making it objective at all. So how can you ever meet the standard? So ask yourself, what is this piece of content for? What is the purpose of it? And how will I know whether or not it's good enough? For example, if it's a singing piece, I don't want to crack on the high note. It's good enough provided there's no cracking. Or it's good enough provided I'm singing in tune. Whatever it is that your standard is. But not arbitrary good enough, it's as good as your favorite professional singer who's a celebrity and making millions of dollars. Is that fair? They have a whole team behind them auto-tuning and correcting everything. They're not perfect either. So good enough is totally subjective and we need to make it objective, okay? The next tip is to determine who you are showing up online for. Is it for a specific job? In which case you need your standard to basically complement or meet the other people that are performing at that particular venue or in that particular way. Or is it simply to build a fan base? In which case, start now because your fans will come to you gradually over time and some of them will be with you from the very beginning and be so joyful in witnessing your journey and witnessing your improvement and your growth. So just get your ego out of the equation and stop thinking that you need to be perfect and instead welcome people onto your journey. For example, right now over on Instagram, I am sharing my own journey of singing Renaissance and renewal just with my close friends list. But to be on my close friends list, all you have to do is ask. So if you're curious about where I'm at with my own singing right now, come on over to Instagram, DM me privately, and tell me you want to be on my close friends list, and you can witness my singing journey. Once I get to a certain point, it's just sort of an internal process right now, I'll start sharing that publicly as well. Now, number 3 is to ask yourself how waiting serves you. Because in the case of me with the National Council auditions for the Met, it did not serve me at all. The only way in which it did serve me was saving me from the feelings of failure and disappointment if I didn't make it. So a lot of the time it serves you to wait because it allows you to not be disappointed. But not being disappointed is also a recipe to never succeed, to never achieve your goals. You have to risk failure, and you actually most likely will fail many, many times on the road to you actually achieving what it is you want out of this lifetime. It is that deep and it is that important. So are you waiting to fix something specific and objective, in which case, great, do it, fix it, and then post? Or are you simply using this as an excuse to not post at all because you are afraid? If you are afraid, my heart goes out to you. I get it. I have been afraid. Get support. Tip 4 is to detach yourself from the outcome of the art itself. Detach yourself from the overall quality of this art that you have created. You are not your art. I'm going to say this again. You are not your art. You are the artist. Your job is to create the art and release the art into the world. Are you with me? Do you understand? Let me know if that landed and resonated in the comments, okay? You are not your art. You are the artist who creates art and releases that art into the world. And the last tip is to ask yourself this question: does it really matter whether or not you are quote unquote good enough by your standard or anyone's standards? Personally, I don't think so. I know from my own experience that getting better in public rather than in private is a far more satisfying and meaningful experience, and it is making for a better overall life. I spent too many years and decades hiding my art away and hiding my voice when I had so much to share. Trust me, you're the same. Share your art with the world. Share your voice. All right? So I hope this video was helpful. I hope that you now understand that there's no need to wait. Get some objective criteria going and then start posting. If you thought this was useful, subscribe to my channel, join my free Facebook group, follow me on Instagram, and all the rest. Let me know in the comments what other topics you might like me to cover to help you rock your business, to help you with your mindset and everything else. And if you did enjoy this video, you might enjoy these videos next. And now, as always, go out into the world and let your light shine. You deserve to be heard, and the world deserves to hear you, whether you're good enough or not.